Hi, and welcome to another edition of that Millwall podcast. This show's on the back of Millwall Vs Boro, where Millwall become victories for a change. We played with a back four, and we looked exciting for a change. But anyway, before we get into all that detail, I will introduce two new faces and one old, fairly fresh, considering it's his birthday yesterday. I believe he is hanging. I will just throw that out there in case any mistakes happen. But let's welcome birthday boy, weekender, one and only Kai. How you doing, fella?
Yeah, I'm all good, mate. I'm all good. No, tired, but hanging on, as you say.
Good stuff. Right, these next two voices are podcast virgins to our show anyway. They've been on the StreamYard. No, that's what we record on. They've been on the Twitter Spaces after the games. They've been on quite a bit over the last few weeks. So you probably heard their voices, but now you can put a face to that voice. I'm going to come in first with you, Stephen. Hello, mate. Welcome to the show.
Hello. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to it.
It's good. It's all good, mate. It's all good. We're fairly laid back, so yeah. And then the other person, last but no means least, Ben. How you doing, fella?
Right, chaps. Thank you very much for having me. Really looking forward to it. Enjoyed the Twitter Spaces. So yeah, looking forward to having a chat to you fellas tonight about all things Millwall and wonderful.
Yeah, no, that's it. So look, we're going to crack on with part one, and then we'll be back after this. Welcome back then. So Millwall versus... hang on. Kai, you're in charge of the Lionesses media now. You have an option on our channel to be able to speak about the Lionesses, and you spoke fuck all about them, and they're winning every single game. So let's go in with the first 5 minutes or so. Tell us about the Lionesses and what we're missing out on by not watching them.
The Lionesses are extremely exciting to watch. Everything is attacking football. Every pass is aimed to go forward. And yeah, it's just an all round. At the moment, they're doing really well. They won 2-0 today away at AFC Acorns. Really good win. 2 goals from Lucy Jetta secured the win. Actually, both second half goals as well. Something we're not that used to. We last couple of weeks, especially, been putting teams away in the first half. Beat Bromley last week in the FA Cup. 7 goals in 21 first half minutes. Basically, rounded off a win already. Do you know what I mean? In second half,
7 goals in 21 minutes.
It was silly. It was fantastic. It was silly quick. It was unbelievable. But they won again today, top of the league, through to the next round of the FA Cup after winning last week. And everything's going really well. It was a tough match today. They dug in. They had to show a bit quality. We didn't have things all our own way. But ultimately did really well, got the 3 points, and that's all that matters. And yeah, 2 goals. So yeah, buzzing.
I mean, this just for those who aren't 100% up to level with the Lionesses and all that lot. I mean, I shouted about the Lionesses a few years ago when the MK Dons of women's football tried to stitch the Lionesses up and tried to take the history and everything else. And, good luck to Tom Gale and obviously Catherine Gale from the MSC, who jumped on that cause massively and helped get the Lionesses where they are today and formed and everything else. But basically, they dropped from being quite a way high in the football pyramid to now being fairly low because they pretty much had to start again. So you had to find all your new players, all your new coaches, your new manager, and basically started from fresh. But since they've started from fresh, they seem to be flying, don't they? They seem to have really clicked.
No, they are. I think it all stems from obviously the management team to the players. But the players' bond they're really close to the team. They all get on really well. And to be fair, there's some signings in there that are probably that step up from the league we're in. But we managed to get them in. Players like Tisha Charles, Jay Keogh, who both of them are tier 3 players, but we've got them in tier 5. And yeah, I'd say Atisha is probably that one player, her and Angel on the wings, they're the sort of players that just kick the ball past the wing back and they just run after it, get on everything, get on the end of everything. They're just absolutely rapid, and they set our attacks on fire. But no, so far so good for the Lionesses. It's been a good start to the season. 6 wins out of 7, 6 wins on the bounce. So happy day so far.
Excellent. So they won today 2-0.
2-0, yep.
I'm going to put you right on the spot now, Kai. Who's their best player?
It's difficult. As a team, they're very good as a team. They know,
fella.
Pardon?
I said you're getting splinters on your arse. You're sitting on a fence.
I'd say that, I think most people will agree that the two most influential. I'll say two because I think they are both out. Same sort of quality from both sides. But Atisha and Angel, the two wingers, they're very good on the wings. When Gemma Bryan gets up to speed as well, she's been one of the top goal scorers in English women's football a couple of years ago until she got injured. So she's a top player as well. But I'd say Atisha and Angel are the two ones to look at the moment.
Well, let's stop it there before this turns into a Lioness podcast rather than a Millwall podcast. We're talking about their best player. Let's move on to potentially our best player. And definitely looks as if it's going that way. I'm going to start with you, Stephen. I'm talking about Fleming. What a player he seems to be turning into.
I think the biggest thing with Fleming is I think a lot of supporters got caught up in the hype of the videos at the start of the season. Everyone went onto sort of YouTube or Twitter and was kind of seeing this guy banging in all kinds of goals, free kicks, left foot, right foot, and you instantly sort of think, oh, he's going to be a star player. And I think he got injured in the first game or the second game, and everything went quiet. We didn't see much of him, but the last couple of games, he's really starting to have the impact we thought he would. He looks like the player from those videos, and I think the thing is, you see a lot of stats that go about that say, oh, he's had more shots than anyone in the league, but if you don't shoot, you don't score. And we're now reaping the benefits of that, of him, wanting to take people on and wanting to take a chance on goal, because I think it's now 4 in the last couple of weeks, and long may it continue. I'm going to throw a little bit of a spanner in the works. At the moment, I don't think he's our best player, but I think he's well on the way. I think he's well on the way to becoming.
I'll come back to you on who you think our best player is in a bit. But Ben, what's your views on Fleming then?
What's my views on Fleming? I think he's living up to everything that we probably thought we hoped he would be. I think last year playing for a team that obviously nearly got relegated from the Eredivisie, having the pedigree that he had from Ajax, and as I say, playing for a team that nearly got relegated but still getting in the Eredivisie the team of the season. I think he's doing everything that we thought he would, that we all hoped, right? So for me, I love him. I think we need to sign him up to a 10-year contract already, get that massive release clause on him. I'm sold. It's nice to have a bit of excitement about signing, and yeah, I'm all in on Fleming. He hates West Ham. I'm just in.
Where did that come from? I mean, I don't know where did that come from that he hates West Ham.
I think it's more the tune, isn't it? The Zian Fleming, whoa, Zian Fleming, whoa. He comes from Amsterdam. He fucking hates West Ham. Get that in there.
I've got you now. Yeah.
Liverpool genius. But I think it's just that, right? So, but yeah, I'm sold. I think for me, he's someone that we've probably missed over the past few years. Someone with real quality. Someone that he's probably got sell-on value as well, right? We're not talking about just now what he can bring to us, but he's got sell-on value. I think he bring everything that we've missed over the last few years. I think he's got.
No, I totally agree. Kai, views on Fleming before we go into the game?
Just a quality player, isn't he? I said a couple of weeks ago that what I'm most impressed with is that every time we get the ball, he wants it. He's always showing for the ball. He's always offering. And I think that's probably one of the most impressive things. When a team's low on confidence, which we have been recently, for a player like Fleming to be able to, want to always be on the ball, shows his levels of confidence, haven't dropped. And it was only a matter of time, wasn't it, before obviously Rotherham, we saw him shoot from outside the box many times. Some of them went wide, some of them were saved by the keeper. It's only a matter of time before one flew in the back of the net. Obviously it did. And Saturday he was just as good. Scored 2 more goals. First one you could say was a little bit lucky, but do we deserve that luck? I think we do. And the second goal he made it look easy. So yeah, fantastic player, a fantastic signing, and hopefully he can continue that.
Just disappointed that he could have got his hat trick, but we're coming to that in the game in a little bit. So
just on that, Mickey, as well, I was going to say, just in terms of our perspective, like from us to have a quality player, just what Kai said, I think it makes a difference from us to have someone that's real quality and is not scared to do the things that we probably missed before. Kai mentioned there, like someone that just wants to get on the ball all the time, wants to shoot, wants to get past people, wants to beat people. I think that's the biggest difference when you really get a quality player that he does all the time. He gets on it and he wants to do those things.
I think you're right, and I think the thing is, and again, we're coming to the game in a little bit, but this is going in an interesting way now. But I think that if Vogslammer shows, I know he's 31, but he is a good professional. If you look at his history as such, if he could start hitting the ground running as well and start getting played in positions where he's actually going to do something, which we talked about on the space yesterday. But if he could start hitting his form as well, with him and Fleming, I think potentially we've got 2 great professionals who are hopefully going to be class players, who will only, I think, bring the rest of the class out of the rest of the team. I'll go to you again on that one first, Ben.
Yeah, Vogslammer is a weird one for me because I don't feel like we know where his best position is. Again, we're probably going on YouTube videos and what we've all seen. In Germany, he looks like an out-and-out number 9 to me, and he looks like his best position is between the 6-yard box. Are we playing him in that position? Probably not, but I think, I totally agree. I think if we can get him and Fleming firing, then I think we've had a real good... Well, a couple of coups, really, because I don't think many people would have looked at them and gone, we want them in our side. So, I think, if we can get them both firing, I think if we can get them both playing in their best positions, then I think we'll see the benefits from both of them.
Kai?
No, I absolutely agree. I think Voggy, it's difficult with Voggy because he's playing slightly out of position, isn't he, right now? He's obviously a striker. He's playing on the right, and, it's hard to sort of judge him in that way. But what I will say about Voggy is he gives everything. He works hard. He really worked hard down that wing yesterday, and he could have had a goal or an assist, yesterday. And if he does, then his performance looks even better. So them 2 are exciting. Gary said in his press conference after that, them 2 players are the 2 ones you have to literally drag off the pitch at training. They're constantly there practicing, shooting, and I think that shows their professionalism. And I think that will only improve the other players. I guess their qualities, and it will show them. It'll give them a good platform to learn from.
No, I totally agree with that. Stephen, what's your views on those 2? If Vogslammer hits the ground running, as we expect him to, once he gets to grips with the Championship, I think we've got another baller on our hands here with him and Fleming.
I think so. I think the big thing with both of them, I can't remember who it was that just said it there, but I think by having a Fleming, someone who clearly has should we say, more ability or is a better player than maybe some of the other players in the squad. But the other players in the squad were, they don't want to be left behind, and they want to, they don't want to have someone on their hands that they don't utilise properly, and they want to, you don't want to be just kicking the ball upfield and hoping for the best. So I think on Fleming, I think he will get the best out of the players around him. With Voggy, I said this yesterday, and I've been saying it for the last couple of weeks. It almost feels a little bit like how Harris used to use Aidan O'Brien. Aidan O'Brien was good. He scored a lot of goals, but he wasn't quite Morrison and Gregory. So he was just given the position to play on the left. And I don't know if it's that he's not trusted or if he's not, because he's not adapted to English football just yet, but it's almost as if he's not been given that opportunity to play in the position that is probably his best position, which is in the number 9, in the number 9 or 10 role. I think if you've got someone who's clearly got ability, he's played in the Bundesliga. It's not it is a tough league. He's scored goals in that division. I think if he does start to score, gets one, I think you'll start to see regular goals. And I think, as you say, with Fleming and Voggy on form, I can only see us going one way. on the subject of Fleming, and I think Ben had said about a transfer value and a sell-on value. Do we think that Fortuna Sittard have a sell-on clause in his, and do you think it would be quite substantial? So any fee that we do get would have to be quite a big fee moving forward, because I think they would put on a hefty percentage.
I think they're probably looking at probably a 20-25% sell-on, I reckon. But they'd be stupid if they didn't. Because, I can see him easily now, before going forward, that he's probably worth 3 to 5 million now to a Prem team if they come into him now. And I think the longer we keep him, the higher that will go.
The only thing on that, Mickey, can I just say, why do we not think? Obviously, we've scouted him for a long time, right? I mean, it was fact that we wanted him in January and we didn't get him. Is there any reason why we don't think a lower league Premier League side haven't gone in for him before now? Because it is us, right? We probably get players that we probably shouldn't get, or cast-offs. Not saying that is the case with Fleming, but with is there any reason why we don't think a Premier League hasn't gone in for him for?
I mean, that's a great question, and I don't know. Maybe if someone's listening, they might know. I don't know. I mean, I know that he liked the way that Millwall was, set to get him and come after him a lot. I think the whole the way we play, the atmosphere in Kels, I think he just, fell in love with. Again, I've got no idea, but it don't really matter whether or not they did or they didn't. We got him.
We've got him, right?
And exactly. Going forward, we just need to keep hold of him. If we can keep hold of him past this next transfer window, then fantastic. But if he starts scoring goals and becoming, our Haaland, the same as Man City's got, if he becomes ours and starts knocking goals in every game, then people are going to come knocking. Kai, I know you're hanging, fella, and you're looking as if you're draining as each minute ticks by on our clock on the screen. Give us match report from you. Give us your match feedback from yesterday, and maybe give us some comments from the press conference, and then we can come in on the back of that, mate. So come on in.
No, I thought it was largely a good performance. Thought it wasn't really pleasing to see the four at the back work. I thought it did well enough on Wednesday to be given a go. I think Gary sort of that he replicated that view. He knew exactly the same, and I think that's why he played it again. Really impressed with Hutch and Cooper. The thing is with Hutch and Coops, we've seen so many times, haven't we? Especially under Harris, Hutch and Coops had that fantastic partnership back in the 2017-18 season. There's no reason why they can't continue it now, and so that's really exciting. Fleming looks like that player that we've been crying out for. We've always wanted an attacking midfielder, haven't we? Someone that's going to link them two together, and we finally got someone like it, and it looks like a really good signing. But overall, very pleased. Gary sort of alluded to the fact that back four in the press conference has said that he'd been contemplating for a couple of weeks now, and that he felt like it was the right time to do it.
Bullshit. I'm sorry, but I'm going to call that. Fucking, he's been thinking about it for a few weeks. He's been thinking about it when he realised that potentially his mortgage ain't going to be paid, and that the fans are going to turn and force him out the stadium potentially. That he's gone, I'll bow down to peer pressure. I mean, when he said that, did you think he was being sincere, or do you think he's just playing smart and thinking, I've got to go? Because if he's been thinking about four for a few weeks, then he could have played it at any point this season and hasn't.
I know he was really, after the Blackpool game, he said about how he was close to playing about four for that game. So I think it probably is. I probably do believe him that it's probably something he has been contemplating. Maybe whether he was just working out whether it's the right time. Obviously, you could say it's, people could say it's convenient. We'll never know. But I think he has been probably toying with the idea whether to do it or not, whether not to do it. But I guess probably that the results recently have probably forced his hand more than he maybe wanted to do it. Maybe. But yeah, I do believe he probably contemplated it. But I think had the results have turned around and we would have been good with about five, probably would have stuck with that, wouldn't he? So difficult to work out.
Yeah, but he didn't. So yeah, I mean, Stephen, your views of yesterday, any standout moments or?
I think pretty much what Kai had said there. I think the one thing that we were desperately missing in this side was an attacking midfielder, someone to get goals from midfield on a regular basis. I know Jed, technically he was an attacking midfielder, but he was a winger. He wasn't.
We don't mention his name. He's Jed Who to us. He's Jed Who.
But he wasn't a central player, and I think we really missed that. We needed someone to be, willing to take a chance, willing to try things in and around the box, even to the point of winning free kicks. Because what we've seen from Fleming, he's got a decent free kick on him. Obviously, scored from one yesterday, albeit with a deflection. But that we were desperate for that. And earlier on, I'd mentioned that I don't think he's our best player. I think our best player, and yesterday was very, very good, is George Saville. I think when George Saville plays well, Mill will play well. I think he's been quite hard done by this season by not playing as much as I think he should. And I think yesterday, alongside Billy Mitchell, I thought the midfield was excellent. They worked hard. They won the ball back tirelessly throughout the game, and looked to get forward. I think the biggest compliment that we can give Mill at the moment is, I think a lot of the supporters, myself included, it's negative. You get to the halfway line, and whilst there's still that hint of being unsure, there are occasions where Mitchell and Saville and McNamara, Wallace down the left hand side were driving forward, and we were trying to get into dangerous positions. And I think, it was 2-0, probably should have been more. But I think there's a lot of credit that needs to go to the players, because they've seemingly the leash has been loosened a little bit, and they've been given a little bit more freedom with this back four. And I think it looks like they enjoyed it, and I think it comes across that we can do it.
No, I totally agree. I'll throw a curveball to you then, Ben. Is Fleming better player for us than Jed?
That is a tough question. I think to have someone like we all like to probably downplay probably what Jed did for us, just because in how it ended last year. But for me, Jed was probably our most important player for a long time. And whilst I really hope Fleming gets to that point where he's our mainstay in attacking positions and what we do going forward for a long time. Jed did it consistently really for us for 3, 4, 5 years, right? And we're only seeing with Fleming, he's done it for a few games. I really hope he gets there. But to say, is he comparable to Jed at this minute? I don't know. I don't know. I don't think he is. I don't think Jed.
Oh, okay.
I don't think
but
he is.
Obviously,
do I hope he gets there? Yes. Do I hope he gets there? Yeah.
With the Rotherham game and obviously yesterday's game, the back four looks interesting, doesn't it, Ben?
I think
as if it gives the players a little bit more freedom, and Mitchell seems to be playing really well in it.
There was something that I heard from Paul Merson. He spoke about when England played a back three, it's only when you don't have confidence in your two centre halves being a really good defensive pair. And I think when we have Hutch and Cooper there, for me, there ain't a better centre-half partnership in the league than them two. I think they've been consistent as anyone. They're as good as anyone. For me, they're Premiership level. I genuinely think that defensively, I think they're as good as anyone in the league. And I think there's probably an element of with Rowett, I don't think he probably trusts us going back at times. And I think that's only because of the full-backs. Would I prefer to play a four? Yes. I think Danny Mack isn't a wing back. I think he's a right back, and similarly with Malone, I think he's a left back. He's not a wing back. So I would prefer us to play a four. Again, like you chaps are saying, I think it gives us more flexibility going forward. I think in a 4-2-3-1 that we seem to be playing, I think it gives Mitchell that potential to get on the ball more, do more, get forward more, just influence the game more. So for me, I definitely prefer the 4 than the 5. Or the 3.
No, that's it. Those of you watching on YouTube or listening on the podcast, Kai is no longer here. The hangover has got him. And he bless him. I don't think he got hardly any sleep last night. Then he went out with the Lionesses to do their game today, and he's just absolutely drained. But on your bit, and I think Stephen will probably come in on the back of this one as well. But you said that Coops is great. And Hutchinson's a great partnership. I think Cooper is not the player we're used to seeing. He's definitely got a mistake or two in him. recently.
Yeah, look, I agree with that. I think he has got a mistake or two in him, but I think if you look at over the last 4 or 5 years, right, I think he's a mainstay. Tell me that there's not many sides in the Championship that he wouldn't get into. I think that's when I always look at the players, right. There's not many teams that wouldn't want to have Coops in their side. I don't think he's best technically. I don't think he's great passing out. We know that, but as a centre half and a proper centre half, and I mean winning headers, tackles, I don't think there's many better than him in the league personally. Has he got a mistake in him? Yeah, but that's really why he's playing the Championship. And that's why he's not playing the Premier League.
Stephen,
everything you've just said there, I would. That's how I would describe Sean Hutchinson personally. I think Sean Hutchinson is without a doubt in the top 3 centre halves in the Championship. I think when Hutchinson plays, we look better at the back. We have a leader. There's somebody there that's vocal, that's not frightened to. I think he's not frightened to get into his own players as well as the opposition and the ref when he needs to. I think he makes Cooper a better player.
Yeah,
in a back two. I like Jake Cooper, I really do, and he's struggled this year, and I think the mistakes have been sort of outweighing, some of the good work that he does. I think that you're right; they are a good pair together. But I think Millwall's defensive sort of frailty has been when we've not had Sean Hutchinson. He's not. I'm not saying every time he's going to play, we're not going to concede, because we're Millwall, we know we're going to concede goals. But I think when he plays, I think he makes Cooper look a better player. And in a back two, the 2 centre halves, absolutely, there's not many, if at all, a better pair. And I think you're right with the wing backs and the fullback situation. Danny Mack and possibly Murray Wallace are left back and right backs. They are not wing backs. They're not that good going forward, let's be honest. I think Malone might have a little bit more in him going forward, but I think defensively he's not great. So again, I think if you're going to tinker between a 4 and a 5, I think you have to get the right players in the wing back position, because I think only there's limitations to all of our fullbacks at the moment into what system they can play in.
Danny Mack is definitely a right back.
Do you know
Absolutely.
what I mean? And just going back to the Hutch piece, I think we've struggled in this period now because Hutch hasn't been playing, and goals like the goals we conceded against QPR, I just don't think they happen with Hutch on the pitch. And I know Rowett alluded to Long coming in because he's more vocal than Bilikowski and all that sort of thing. I don't really buy that, but for me, I just don't think, as I said, I don't think that QPR goal happens if Hutch is on the pitch, because I think he's that leader, right? And I think he has been so massively understated in what we've done over the last 2, 3, 4 years. I think, as I say, for me, he's the best. He can play in the Premier League for me. I think he's the best defender that we've had for a long time.
That's quite a claim, that is, isn't it?
I think he's this generation's Robbo.
Yeah, 100%. Something like that. He's a stalwart. He's a stalwart in our centre, in our defence, right? He does everything.
Yeah.
I think he organises us. He's defensively, I think he's brilliant. As I say, he wins tackles, headers, very rarely gives the ball away going forward. And more importantly, as I said, I don't think we concede silly goals like we did against QPR if he's in that back 3, 5, 4, whatever it is. I think he's that guy that just organises us. And for me, we miss him more than anyone when he doesn't play.
I totally agree. I mean, let's look at the other player. I mean, Danny Mack, as I said a minute ago, definitely 100% right back is his position, isn't he?
Yeah.
That, he's not a winger. A right back is his chosen position. That is where he needs to play now, because he seems to play well. He played well there yesterday.
It's funny, actually, because I don't know if any of you saw it, that QPR Reading game on Friday, and they've got Ethan Laird at right back. Obviously, well documented, they wanted Danny Mack, and they were after him all through the summer. And Laird put in a cross for their striker to score. Very good cross for it. When Danny McNamara does get forward, I don't have any confidence that he's actually going to be able to deliver the ball. But when someone's attacking him, or he's trying to shield the ball out of play, or he needs to make a tackle, I'd back him every time down that right-hand side, which again just shows he is a right back. I think he's a Millwall fan. We all know that, and they love a tackle, and he's not going to bottle tackles and things. But if it's the same as Mitchell, if you ask them to do the jobs that they're good at, they're going to look like good players. If you ask them to do the jobs because you're trying to play a certain way or things they're not comfortable with, it just doesn't work. And we've seen that.
It's the same with Bury, though, isn't it? If you put him in a position where he's comfortable in, he plays really, really well. You stick him in a position where, he doesn't necessarily, like playing. And I know he's young and I know he's still learning the game. But I think we've got, again, we're talking about, we've got another baller there who's going to be cracking in a few seasons' time. But you just got to play him in a position where he wants to play.
And he needs to bulk up a little bit as well, I think.
Definitely needs to bulk up, and have a haircut as well.
I think there's an element of both of the same thing with both of those players. I think if Danny Mack was as good going forward as he is, probably defensively and just as a fullback, he probably wouldn't be playing for us, right? He'd probably be in the Premier League. And I think now you look at the Premier League right backs / wing backs, they could do it going both ways. And I think Danny Mack, for me, just lacks that end product going forward, whether it be a cross or a pass. And that is ultimately why he plays for us, right? And he's not in the Premier League. Because again, engine-wise, and there was rumours last year that Southampton and clubs were looking at him. They probably looked at him and thought he just hasn't got that end product now where he can find the pass or a cross, or as I said, and probably similar with Bury.
Well, I think a lot of that's consistency. If he's playing the games, then I think that will come. If he's playing in a formation that works, where he's in a position that works, then I think that will come. And I mean, hopefully going forward, you only need to put a ball in and someone like Fleming or Voslema or Bennett will finish it off.
I don't disagree with that. I think, as I say, I think for me, if he improves that and that final third product and that ball going forward, then I think he will outgrow us ultimately. I know he's a Millwall fan and we all love him, but I think he's better than. I think he's got the ability to step up to that next level. Probably. I
think that's why the contract stuff was gone, because there was clauses what needed to. Rumours are there was clauses what needed to put in. He wanted to sign, I think, a 3-year deal with a potential get out, so that if someone come along for him, he could go. I think the club had other ideas. Again, it's only hearsay.
I think he's a way off that, Mick, as you say, right? I think he's a way off that. He needs to play consistently. I think he needs to play in a position that's going to suit him for a while. I don't think he's ready made for the Premier League by any means. I think there would be a lot of clubs looking at him saying he's got the potential of, but as you say, he's got to play in that position regularly and do it regularly in terms of end product. That's probably why clubs haven't brought him, right, or been interested in him.
Yeah, I think that that will change going forward. But I mean,
I agree.
As a whole, with our transfer buying this season, I mean, if we looked in the transfer window, we got rid of Jed Wallace, we got rid of most of our players, Matt Smith, etc., and 3-4 days into the transfer window, we were thinking we're fucking in dire straits. So then we make the signings we've got. Were you, or are you a bit disappointed, or is it because they're possibly young as well? But what's your views? I'll come to you first, Steve. What's your views on Cresswell?
I think I said this on one of the spaces a couple of weeks ago that Cresswell come with YouTube videos. It's the way of the world. Everyone and Leeds fans were sort of talking about him being, should have been in their team, and they haven't got any decent centre backs. Why would they loaning him out, etc. I think there's a player in there. You wouldn't play it under 21s level for England if there wasn't. That kind of thing doesn't happen. But I think there's he's young. He's not had a lot of regular first team football, and when you come to a place like us, you have to be on your game as a centre half. The club is built on legends in that position, and I think it's a step down from Dan Ballard. I think Ballard was ready to be playing Championship football. I'm not entirely convinced on Cresswell. There's a player in there, don't get me wrong, and I think in years to come we'll look back and go, "Oh, he's got better than what we were watching." And I think there's still a role for him to play. There was a story that came out that Norwich are sniffing around him because there's talk that he could go back to Leeds in January and whatnot. So there's definitely a player in there. but I think it's one that we have to take with a pinch of salt. While there'll be great tackles and good things from him, if you play him, I think you're prone to a mistake.
Ben?
I think everything Stephen there is probably spot on. I think I've got friends that are Leeds fans, and all I heard was good things and how good he was and the potential that he had. I think playing for probably even Leeds in the Premier League and playing for us at centre half is a completely different kettle of fish. I think in the Championship it's a completely different game. It's like a Sunday League game compared to the Premier League. It's 100 mile an hour all the time. You have to defend. You have to be defensively sound. I could even see him doing well for Norwich because they probably have more ball than us. So he can get the ball, make passes into midfield. Look, there's obviously, again, what Stephen said, there's definitely a player in there. You don't play for England under 21s if there's not. Do I think he's right for us? Probably not. Would I have rather gone for Ballard? Yes, because I just think Ballard was the best defensive player. But I think it's a tough one. He's a young kid. He's learning his trade. Is it what we need? No. Is it what Leeds need? Yes. They need to get their players out on loan. It's a tough one.
I mean, I think Ballard, I think there was a gamble there, and we wanted to take him on loan for an extra year because we could see that potentially there was an injury in him. And I think that's why we didn't necessarily go buy him straight out. And I think for a team like Arsenal to dump a player like Ballard points to you that probably we took the right gamble, to be fair. Because if there was something about him, Arsenal would have kept him and played him or at least kept him for a little bit because obviously there was going to be a financial reward for him. But as we've seen, he's out with injury, unfortunately, and you'll have to wait and see how he comes back from that injury. But
just on that front as well, Mickey, I mean, I've got a couple of Arsenal fans, and I said to them, I cannot believe that Ballard is not in your first team. For me, he was as defensively good as I've seen anyone play for Arsenal. So I couldn't believe he was not staying with them. But it might be a case of they knew he was a bit injury prone. We maybe knew he was a bit injury prone. And maybe we've seen that now, right?
No, that's it. I mean, the other couple of players that we got in, I mean, Honeyman obviously, again, looks like a good player for us. And I'll come to you first on this one, Ben. Has he impressed you, or are you a bit disappointed with him?
Look, again, I think
first couple of games he looked good, didn't he?
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think, again, Stephen, we spoke on the Spaces there. I spoke about it probably a couple of weeks ago. Where I said he's the sort of signing that in years gone past that we probably wouldn't have made. And I mean that in a sense of we're signing now other Championship clubs' best players. He was the fans' player of the year or the players' player of the year, whatever it was for the whole last year. So for me, that's an upgrade on what we've previously done. I think he's a Millwall type player, and we try and get away from that all the time when we say a Millwall type player, but he'll always give 100%. Will he be the best player on the pitch every week? Probably not, but he will always be a 6, 7 out of 10 and do what he needs to. For me, I'd love to see him in that midfield, whether it be for Saville or Mitchell when they're just not on form or just need to swap them out. For me, I think he's a good signing. I like him, and he's a good player. He's an upgrade on what we've previously had, and yeah, I like Honeyman.
Steve, I mean, do you like Honeyman? And also, I mean, throwing Shackleton there as well.
I think Honeyman is caught up in the fact that he's one of these utility players that can do a job possibly in a number of different kind of roles, and I think when you play with the 5 at the back and the free midfielders, whatever, you can probably afford to get him in because he can do a number of jobs for you. When you've got sort of a bit more of the formation we played yesterday, I think it is difficult for him to get in the side. I think he is a Millwall type player. I think he's going to give you 100%, whether it's a good game or a bad game. I agree with Ben, the fact that we're signing a Championship or a Championship club's better players, arguably best player, then that can only put us moving in the right direction. Other clubs have done it to us in the past, so there's no reason why we can't do it, and we haven't. We've done it now, we can't do it again. Shackleton, again, another utility player. I was talking about this a couple of weeks ago at the ground with a couple of people that sit up near me, and the word utility really, really frustrates me, because that's a lot of our players tend to be like that. We tend to get there. He can play at left back, he can play at centre half, he can play right back, this, that, and the other, and sort of jack of all trades, master of none. I think Shackleton's a good player. He got promoted with Leeds and played a lot of games, and I think there's a role for him in the squad. I just would like us to be signing specific players for specific roles, not somebody that can fill in here, there, and everywhere. Again, he's a good player. I'm not taking anything away from him, but for example, Fleming was brought in for one role. Cresswell, I know we spoke about him and he's not worked out, but he was brought in to play at centre half, not play anywhere else. Callum Stiles on his debut played in 3 different positions at home. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of that.
Good player potentially there as well.
Yeah.
He's a good lad. I mean, something what I pick up on what was on, some of the tweets what was out yesterday on Twitter. I mean, Phil Clark, friend of the show, he put today improvement from Wednesday, which was a step up from last Saturday. Rebuilding confidence takes time, but already players look more relaxed and solid in this formation. Stick with it for 3-4 more games and the same starting 11. Let it bed in, and then hopefully they'll reap the rewards. Agree with that?
Absolutely. I don't see the point in keep changing things. Rotherham, okay, they're not one of the best sides in the division, but it was a step forward. We did play reasonably well, for large parts of that. Won the game on Saturday. I maybe changed the team. I said yesterday, and I'd switch Bradshaw and Afobe. But there's no need to change from what we did yesterday. If we go to Bristol City with the same shape, same team, if they're all fit, I can't see why we can't go and cause them problems and win the game.
No, I totally agree. I mean, you agree with that tweet as well then, Ben?
You might have seen me grimace then. Do I agree with it? Yeah, no, I think I agree with it in a sense of, do I want us to stick with that formation? Yes. I think my issue with it is I go back to Rowett still not knowing what our best formation is, still not knowing what our best team is. And that's my problem with it. I think the 4 suits us. I think we look better. Let's stick with it. But I think my issue with it is we still don't know, as I said, is that our best team? Does Rowett think that's our best team, more importantly?
Right. On that bomb now, we're going to end this here and we're going to come back in with part 2. We're going to briefly talk about Bristol City away and see what these guys want as their starting 11s. We'll be back straight after this. So then, Saturday sees us travel to Bristol City. They got beat on Saturday by Birmingham 3-0. We're going in on the back of a win. They're going in on the back of a loss. We are away from home. I'll go to you first, Ben. What formation would you play against them, and what would be your starting 11?
I think, as I said at the end of part 1, I think I'd still stick with the 4. I think that's our best formation, and probably agree with Stephen. Really, I just, the only person I'd probably change is I'd probably play a Phobie rather than Bradshaw. I think that's our best team. I think it's our most threatening team. We look better going forwards. I think we're better with the 2. I think the fullbacks look better. You could probably change either of the 2 in midfield. And I mean, that Shackleton could play for Saville. Saville could stay in there. So, yeah, I don't think we're far off our best side. But for me, I'd probably just play a Phobie over the Bradshaw.
Stephen, I mean, is there any fears you've got of what Bristol City could bring to us on Saturday?
Not necessarily what they can bring to us, but I think it's us getting in our own heads about the away form. And just the kind of mentality that the supporters and I think the players are not stupid. They see, what goes on social media. They see the match reports. When we haven't won an away game since March, we've, it was almost as if a point at Rotherham was seen as a little bit of a victory. Not for me, but it was seen by some of the fans that was a really great result. I think take whatever take Bristol City out of the equation. If we go there and play in the same manner as yesterday, in the same shape, I think we can go there and win the game. They're not one of the great. Again, I think I saw a stat earlier that our run of fixtures are against teams that I think no higher than 14th in the table over the coming 4-5 games. I know, usually we don't play. We play worse against the teams at the bottom rather than the teams at the top. But I think if we can go there with no fear. I don't have. I might look stupid now next week if they turn up and play like Manchester City, which fair play if they do. But I don't think there's anyone in their side or them as a team that really worries me. It's how we go there and how we approach the game that gives me a little bit of concern.
Yeah, something you just said there. Millwall's next 6 matches are against teams currently 18th, 12th, 22nd, 23rd, 14th and 20th in the table, which does represent a massive opportunity to us to push up towards the playoffs before the World Cup. That wasn't my words. That was Jake Saunders' words. So, I mean, I agree with you. I think it's now a chance for us to get a run together and potentially take the ball by the horns as such and really make a stand for ourselves and potentially get back into playoff contention.
The only caveat to that, Mickey, and I don't want to be a negative Millwall fan, is that out of those sides, we got Watford, West Brom, Birmingham. They're probably in false positions. Maybe not Birmingham, but certainly Watford and West Brom. So whilst they are in those positions in the league for a reason, they're probably in slightly false positions. And that's probably maybe me being a really negative Millwall fan and thinking, yeah, we're probably not going to get a result against those sides. I hope we are, and we'll take the positives out of it. But yeah, I think that's
being a realist.
Yeah.
So those games over, World Cup comes on. We've got a game against international pedigree. We're taking in a Danish side. I can't think of their name off the top of my head. Stephen, you're telling me. That's it. What's your thoughts on that?
I was talking about this the other day when it was announced. I think it was yesterday that the fixture was announced. It's now worked out that Millwall only have 1 week or weekend off now during the World Cup because you've
obviously because of the rearranged Sunderland game.
Yeah. So I think we miss a week. Then we've got the friendly against Brøndby, and then we've got Sunderland, the rearranged Sunderland fixture, which I honestly think is a good thing. We're not the only club that's going to organise a friendly. Let's face it, we're not reinventing the wheel there, but we'll play a friendly, and then it's a competitive game before other clubs in the Championship play competitively. I think that's something we've really got to take advantage of because we'll be back in the swing of things maybe a bit quicker than everybody else. Again, you've got to go to Sunderland and get a result, but
that's a crazy kickoff time as well. 12:30 is a madness.
I think it's because there's a potential clash with an England game, isn't there? If I think England, the way the fixtures work, if it was a 3:00 kickoff, it would clash with England, which would then, I think, crowds and whatnot. But I think it's great to play Brøndby. We seem to be Husky seem to be pulling strings in Scandinavia with the Swedish side over in the summer. We've got a Danish side. I just think we need to be looking at some of their players. Fleming's come over from Holland and worked, so why can't we tap into some of those countries? There's obviously links there because we wouldn't get the friendly otherwise.
No, see, I don't know if the friendly was organised through Husky or whether or not it's through Hummel, because I think Hummel's sponsoring.
Oh yeah, even
Hummel sponsor their shirt, so possibly a deal there. But Ben, are you looking forward to having international at the Den, even though allegedly their fans aren't allowed to travel because of a ban?
I mean, look, why not? Right? They're UEFA Conference League, I think. A really good pedigree side, as Stephen said. Yeah, look, and I think why not? Why are we not looking at their players in terms of who can we potentially look at? I don't see a problem with it being one of our weekends off or on, however you want to look at it. I think normally it would be a league game for us. It's just an anomaly in terms of where the World Cup is. So it's no different for anyone. There's no change. Looking forward to it. Hopefully it's a good game. Hopefully we can potentially look at someone and see where it goes. But no problem with it at all for me.
Excellent. Well, I think that's pretty much it. I mean, Stephen, you got any final words you want to say?
I think sometimes we get caught up in the negativity. Ben's kind of said a couple of times, being a negative Millwall fan. I think we just want what's best for the club. We want what's best for the team, and I think we all know that we're better than what we have been so far this year. So 3 points is 3 points. Doesn't matter who they come against. And that's the aim and objective for next weekend. I don't think there's any reason why we can't go there and get the job done.
So just before I come to you, Ben, what's your predictions for Saturday then, Stephen?
2-0 Millwall. Fleming to continue his goal scoring exploits, and I reckon Tyler will get the score sheet as well.
Okay, no worries. Ben, what's your any final words, and then your prediction?
Final words. I think for me, I'm probably the most pessimistic of Millwall fans, but similarly to what Stephen said, we only want what's best for the club. I think for me, it's been better the last few weeks. If we can continue on that trend, I think for me, we've had a really good transfer window. I hope we can continue it. I hope we can just improve. I'm going to go with a pessimistic 1-1 draw against Bristol City.
Wow, and on that bombshell, look, we've had 2 new voices. We did have Kai, obviously. Hangover has got him, bless him. Definitely not the Millwall, I know, but still, he'll learn, he'll get better. But that's it from us. We'll be back later on in the week where there'll be a more in-depth look at Bristol City away with Omar and the regular guys. Hopefully, you've enjoyed the 2 new faces who will be coming in a lot more regular, hopefully. And that's it. Remember to follow us across socials. Go over onto YouTube and give us a subscribe if you can. That would be really, really helpful. And that's it. Bristol City away on Saturday. I'm going to go for a 3-0 victory. Fleming to score 2 and Afobe to score 1.
Check that out on Sky Bet.
And hey ho, I have nice things on my cornflakes every morning. So I live in a reality which isn't the same as most other fans. So thanks very much for joining us. That's it from us, and we'll be back later in the week. Adios.